I want to show you the June outlook for the rest of June as we go across Europe, and it really ties into what we've got going on right now. We've had those thunderstorms the last couple days, southern zones, huge flooding parts of Romania yesterday, and you see some of those leftover showers and storms. One system we're tracking heading toward Denmark, and look at the size of this big spin. This will be a slow mover lifting up to the north. And this weather pattern should generally hold where we have some of the active weather to the north, but also thunderstorms to the south. Now, this is the outlook for June. And of course, we're a week and a half in or so. We're still going to continue with the above average temperatures. We're seeing this darker red shading. That's already panned out clearly. We started the month with a heat wave for many of us, and it is going to stay hotter than average. With that is also going to trigger some thunderstorms. And that allows that instability to really kind of pop there. It adds that lift. Hot air rises, storms rise, and we get stronger storms like we had yesterday in Romania, like we've had in other places with some of the flooding earlier this month as well. Say parts of Germany, Austria have had some of those big storms, parts of France, over toward Switzerland. Now, as far as the rain outlook goes, I think this is slightly off where you're seeing some of the yellow shadings. That's below average rain. And yes, that's going to hold as a whole in our southern sections. But with that said, we're going to still see some thunderstorms. So we could have an area that just doesn't get a whole lot, but a town or city over may get dumped on with a thunderstorm because of that heat. With that said, it's showing slightly above average rainfall, just this little green pocket here. Parts of Norway most likely will be at average or slightly above in a slightly bigger area, but a little bit drier to the south as we go throughout the rest of the month, and will be a little wetter to the north. That's going to hold, but the issue will be going through the rest of the month, the thunderstorms, how strong they'll be, and the flooding, even if they're not widespread. We've already had a really active start to June. Speaking of which, for later today into tonight, here's that thunderstorm outlook, and this is what I was talking about yesterday. Look as we work our way into parts of Portugal and Spain. This is just a sampling. We're going to see that chance of storms, some lightning. We could get some hail in some of this. And then as we work our way elsewhere, some spotty storms. That right there is what was in Romania yesterday, sliding off toward parts of Russia, for example. We're going to have some big time storms later today in spots. I was highlighting that yesterday. So again, thank you for your trust as we track some of these storms together. And we'll be watching out for more thunderstorms. So let me take you around small picture first as we zoom around, then the bigger pictures. We get over toward the British Isles, Ireland, over toward the UK in between systems. Copenhagen will break down that 3-day rain chance in just a second, down through Amsterdam and Brussels. Now by tomorrow, we're going to start to get that spin that I just showed you. That'll start to lift to the north and weaken, but it will be a slow mover. It's just going to sit there to the north, and that'll drive in at times some rounds of rain. Now, nothing we can't handle, but it could be a little heavier for some of us than typical. So as we work our way into Thursday, for example, we could see some of that rain from Wales swinging all the way up toward Scotland. Northern Ireland will be on the lookout for some rain at times, and then that pattern will continue through the weekend. Now, there's the spin. Here's a different vantage point. Here's Denmark, Lithuania right here just to orient you. There are the storms in Russia. We'll be watching this spin lifting up to the north, but look at that rain lifting to the north, parts of Norway, Sweden, and then moving into Finland, especially later today, and then into tomorrow. Tomorrow, better chance of rain. Estonia, back through Finland. You see some of the rain right there. Tail end of this, that could be some thunderstorms. We'll monitor that. Belarus back through Russia as we work our way into our Thursday forecast. All right, switching back to this. This is later today, mid-afternoon through the evening. Portugal and Spain. Not widespread storms, but where we get them, they could be severe. And same thing, Bulgaria, Serbia, watching Albania, Greece, nothing widespread, but some pop-up storms. There are some of the storms that worked through Romania yesterday with that big flooding. Then by tomorrow, watching out for some pockets of rain and some thunderstorms. Once again, the thunderstorms, because as that area lifts to the north, it adds that instability. This pocket here moving through Belarus, back through Russia as it exits Poland. And then we'll start to see some spotty storms elsewhere on Thursday. The heat's going to be building as well as we slide through the end of the week. Now, here's the big picture. You could see the spin here. Here's Iceland. You get over toward Ireland, Northern Ireland, right in through here. There's one system here and one system here, and look how they hang around. Here's the departing system that I was talking about yesterday with those thunderstorms. Watching the storms in our southern zones. Because of these two up here, we get some of the storms down here, and those scattered storms still kind of around. Now, look what happens. Let's go throughout the week. Let me take you you through the rest of the week, right in through the end of the week. And I'll stop the clock here by the time we get into Friday. This spin lifts to the north, and this one's still around, providing some areas of rain. So a slow mover here, and then this one lifts to the north. But what it does is it keeps the thunderstorms in play, even parts of France, Spain, Portugal, and at times brings some rounds of rain over toward the British Isles, and we'll see how much of that tries to lift to the north. So really, two players we're going to be watching through the end of the week. And no doubt the seas are going to be increasing as that bigger spin starts to move in. Now it's going to weaken. Look how high some of those seas are, over 5 meters. All the seas will be on the rougher side in those Atlantic waters. This year is by Friday into the upcoming weekend. That spin, though, will be weakening somewhat, so the seas will relax a bit as we work our way into the upcoming weekend. Now, as far as the rain totals go, we're going to watch out, especially as we get toward the end of the week, for a better chance of rain. Northern sections, better chance of rain. Glasgow, for example, we'll see that chance of some spots that'll get over 25 millimeters of rain. Watching over toward London, not nearly as much. So big difference depending on where we are. There's some of the rain today into tomorrow, especially tomorrow, parts of Finland, Estonia, watching that, where we could get some spots around 75 millimeters of rain. So kind of pick your spot here, watching Poland, north of Germany. That's where we could see a better chance of getting some of the rain. This here would be some thunderstorms. If you get some thunderstorms, a quick 25 millimeters of rain will be possible, or even a little bit more. Hit or miss northern sections, extreme northern sections of Italy, back toward parts of Switzerland, Austria, we may see some, and then you see those spotty storms possible near Greece. We'll monitor a couple of those, but we could get some good downpour. So while it's not widespread, we'll be on the lookout for that possibility of getting some of those thunderstorms that could produce the flooding, just like we had yesterday in parts of Romania. So it doesn't need to be a widespread event. There's a lot of energy out there with the heating, with these systems riding to the north. So 30% chance of rain for the rest of today in London. We have about a 20% chance tomorrow, 20% chance the next couple of days in Birmingham. Then we'll see how much of that rain kind of shoots from south to north by the time we get into Thursday. Same thing, Glasgow, we'll see about a 50% chance of rain on Thursday. 30% chance today in Dublin. Thursday, it is going to be turning wetter, at least a 70% chance of rain. Rome and Vatican City, can't rule out a stray chance of a sprinkle. Now Milan, a 10% chance, but a couple of these the next 3 days could be thunderstorms. We swing back toward Berlin. Watching out for some showers around for the rest of today, but tomorrow and Thursday, mainly just to the north. We'll keep an eye on it. We're going to be on the edge of some of that. Meanwhile, Munich later today, 20% chance, just a 10% chance tomorrow. In the next couple of days in Paris, we're running at about a 10% chance of a pop-up thunderstorm. Oslo, a 50% chance as we go throughout the day. Then more of that's going to be shifting off toward the east. Stockholm by tomorrow, though, we're up to a 60% chance of rain as we work our way back through Sweden, and we'll see how much of that lifts to the north. Meanwhile, as I mentioned, tomorrow and even into Thursday, with that slow-moving spin, many parts of Finland, but especially southern areas, watching Helsinki, we're going to see that higher chance of some of the rain that will be around. 30% chance today in Brussels, 10% chance for tomorrow. Watching that some of that rain around in Amsterdam that will be eventually sliding off toward the east. Same thing in Copenhagen. Some of the rain around today. I'll be watching your comments. Let me know your location and what you have going on for the weather, whether it's sunshine, clouds, or if you're dealing with some rain or thunderstorms. I'll be watching those as we go through the rest of today and to tonight. Athens, very limited chance, but a pop-up storm possible. Same thing the next few days in Belgrade, and then a 50% chance of those storms in Madrid as we work our way into tomorrow. Some of those quite strong. Barcelona, about a 10, maybe 20% chance of a pop-up storm. Lisbon, watching out for some storms. Some of those could be on the strong side. Be mindful of some of the lightning. Precipitation chance goes up tomorrow in Iceland with that spin around, up to a 40, even 50% chance of rain. Vienna, 10% chance of a passing thunderstorm. 10% chance as we work our way back through Prague. And that 10% chance holds as well of a few thunderstorms in Budapest. We swing back toward Poland, watching out for some of the showers, especially northern sections tomorrow. About a 50% chance. Kyiv, 60% chance, and then as we slide through Thursday, a 40% chance. Some of those could be some stronger storms. Istanbul, we could get a couple of those pop-up storms. Pop-up storms possible possible in Moscow, but watching that threat building as we go throughout the week. And there's been some stronger storms, even isolated tornadoes a possibility. So that larger system in the Atlantic gets closer, monitoring that thunderstorm threat, not huge areas, but where those storms pop, they could be severe. So monitoring several areas of rain on the move as well, as we well know, and keeping an eye on some of that earthquake activity. Thank you for subscribing to this channel, sharing it with your friends and family, and have a good rest of your day.